So, welcome to episode 15 of season 3. If you just joined, this is Maria at Maria the Arcane on Instagram, and I'm joined by Robin at A Tired Witch on Instagram.
Hello.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you guys for being here.
So, Robin and I might be a little goofy this episode just because we're both not feeling too hot. So,
I took painkillers, which I got high for like an hour. Don't worry, guys. I'm sober now.
I am
Maria's
not. I'm just writing. I'm just, struggling, but it's fine. It's fine. We're all fine.
We still look cute. That's all that matters. So. If you've just joined us this week, every week we talk about upcoming lunar phases and how you can utilize those in your spiritual practice. As a reminder, this is not a check-in based off of your own astrology. This is simply how we can utilize the current astrological lunar phases to, the best correspondence in our practice. So that being said, we have the new moon in Virgo on August 28th. I have a love-hate relationship personally with Virgo new moons. I think we've talked about this a few times. I think a Virgo new moon is the perfect new moon because they are very detail-oriented. They're really good at kickstarting plans and routines. And so if you are somebody who's trying to adopt better habits, this is the perfect new moon, right? Because the new moon also is all about starting new things. The problem is that new moons and Virgos can be a little perfectionist sometimes. And so while I recommend you utilize this Virgo energy to get in your new habits and make some practical aspects and perhaps even organize things in your life, make sure that you aren't doing it in a way that is perfectionism to a fault where you might, go a little crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And, Virgos, they like to hyperfixate on things. And I think that that's actually a good thing that you can use this new moon is if you want to learn something new, this is perfect time to do it. Setting the intentions to learn something new. Let's say that you're I'm finally going to sit down and, learn about tarot. This would be a perfect new moon to set the intentions to do so. I personally, keep it within your interest, something you will stay interested in. Don't just I feel like I need to do this, because you need to have that passion behind it no matter what. So just
I agree 100%. And I mean, I also
sorry,
go ahead.
I was going to just say, I guess, but still, if you are going to school, because I know colleges are starting up and stuff like that. If you want to set intentions for a good school year, to learn new things and do great at school, be organized, use the Virgo new moon for that purpose.
Virgil? I never met him.
Who's Virgil?
I will say, though, too, if you like to keep things pretty minimal, if you're I know we've had a lot of people, especially within the community, asking questions how do you get started back up again if you've fallen out of practice? And I know we've talked about this a lot of times where your practice in your life will have ebbs and flows. So don't be so hard on yourself. But if you are somebody who's kind of in that position, the Virgo full moon is also a really great time to utilize its energy for cleansing. Because it is such a organized and, healthy habit kind of moon. This is a perfect time to utilize that energy to cleanse your house. Give it a full cleanse, Maybe you're going to chamomile wash the window frames, and we'll talk about that in the main segment. Or maybe you're going to do a full smoke cleanse. You're going to put salt in the corners. Whatever that's going to look like for you, this would be a really great time to utilize it.
So, if you just started listening to us, every podcast we talk about a tarot card. We talk about the universal meaning, and then we go over our own personal interpretations of the cards. Hearing other people's helps beginners form their own opinions, or even those who have been practicing for a while expand their views on other meanings. And I promise you, I can talk. I promise. Okay, we're going to get to it. So, this week we're going to talk about the Six of Pentacles reversed. On the card, when it's upright, you see what looks like a rich man giving money to two people needing or asking for some. It is important to note that he is wearing red, which is a symbol of power and control. He is holding a scale, just like we see on the Justice card. And both of the people who are asking for money are wearing blankets to help keep them warm. But if you also look very closely at the one on the right in the blue, in his pocket, he has like a red note or a red tag sticking out. I bring this up because to me, it represents that he is already in debt to the rich man. He already has a mark he has to pay off. But the universal keywords of this card reversed are domination, stinginess, and withholding. Now, just like I believe that we did this card upright already, but just like with the upright version, when this card comes up reversed, I read it by taking into consideration the cards that are around it, as well as the inquiry of either myself or the person I am reading for. Now, okay, no matter what, though, the power dynamic is severely off when this card comes up reversed. If the person or myself is in the position of giving something, it can either show that we need to withhold helping in this particular situation, or even that we are giving far too much of ourselves and not asking for anything in return, of which we need to stop. But if your spread or additional card pulls are calling you out for being stingy, chances are that this shows that you are being selfish and withholding help because you are probably being petty. Now, alternatively, if you are asking for help, you're in the position of wanting to get something. This always tells me to run far away from the person or situation you are requesting help from. The cost is far too steep. The strings attached to this offer for this help in this, the strings attached to this offer for help is way more in the giver's favor more. Think of like high interest loan. It just isn't worth it. Like, as I said, don't walk away, run. But what are your views on this, Robin?
I mean, I am going to completely agree with what you said. I also looked at the surrounding cards around it.
Quads. I developed a Boston accent for like a second.
The quads around it. But simultaneously, I see this card as a mesh when it's up, just when it's in reverse, as a mesh between the Justice card in reverse as well as the Seven of Swords. So to me, it's just like the Justice card in reverse. It's got that severe imbalance like you talked about. Any kind of give and take that was happening before is just now severely skewed, and quite frankly, it often tells me that you're either not going to get what you want or what you deserve. Whether you are the one being charitable or asking for help. So I would agree with Maria 100% in saying, run, don't walk.
Yeah.
And when by the Seven of Swords, I mean that usually it means that somebody has got bad intentions, we'll say.
Yeah.
So yeah, I hate this card. But I will completely agree with you that I think it is a run, don't walk situation.
We're on the same page.
It's happening.
It's because we're both miserable today, and this card is
true. So we're being misery guts together.
This card is about misery. So of course we agree.
Someone's got to do it. What can I say?
So, with fall and the long nights coming up, we thought we would speak on spirit protection. We try to talk about this every year because it's a very requested topic, and especially
it's important.
Especially with many of the discussions that will be brewing. Just hopefully, in this podcast, we can answer some not questions, but your inquiries on how to protect yourself and all that. So, first up, what's your opinion on the thinning of the veil?
I do not believe that the thinning of the veil happens at one time of the year. I think the thinning of the veil happens every single day. That's my personal belief. I think that, when we have conversations about witching hour and I know we've talked about this before in the podcast with the historical meanings and references to where the witching hour came from and what it means. I think the witching hour is the thinning of the veil. They're the same thing. You have things like spirits showing up more often at certain times of the day. You have spirits showing up more often at specific lunar phases. I think it happens all the time. It doesn't just happen at one time of the year. Do I think that it also maybe ramps up a little bit more at that time of the year? 1,000% I do. 1,000%, especially if you consider different cultural beliefs and we practice Day of the Dead here at our house every year. And I have very strong, devout beliefs in regards to that, which is also a thinning of the veil. So I do think that it happens at this time, but I also think that it can happen any day.
Yeah.
What about you?
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think when autumn and winter come, we are forced to slow down. And with that slowing down, we pay more attention to what's happening around us. And some of us are far more aware. But I do think, spirit activity does pick up because some of us are more open to it at that time. I mean, think about it. If you are a person who doesn't really work with spirits often, or let's just say you may have you don't really think about them until this time of year rolls around. When you start thinking of them, I believe, that door kind of opens to let them in. And when we are open to it, spirits will tend to seek you out.
Totally.
Yeah. And I think that with the thinning of the veil does not stop after Samhain. I believe it, at least the heightened activity lasts until late winter because that's when people start getting out of the house more and their minds are on other things. I definitely agree with you, that it happens, thinning of the veil happens all the time, every day. And, it's just, during winter with the longer nights and stuff like that, where you're settling down, where you're more aware of it. And it does feel heightened. But also, I think that some of us, when we're going through a tough period in our life, when we are being forced to slow down in that, instance, we're spending more time alone with our thoughts. We can go through our own little periods of having a thin veil. It is because those periods of time are so liminal. It's almost happens when we're at the cusp of going through a transformation. And at that liminal time, I feel it opens us up to spirits, and it could be, spirits who want to help or whatever, or just seek us out because, they're drawn to the liminal, just like sometimes we are. But that's a hot take, maybe.
No, I agree with you. I get where you're coming from.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a hot take. I think it is a take that has happened from experience.
Same. Same. I definitely agree with everything that you said. Just thinning of the veil is I don't know, spirits are around us all the time. We just become more aware of them in certain periods of the year and our lives.
I agree.
Yeah. And as I said, I really do think that, with this, people are going to start watching scary movies and listening to ghost stories more often. Coffee talk. Anyways. And then, but just that being on your mind it will open up the door where you do have the potential of them being like, hey, we hear that you know, are open to us. So let us in.
Yeah, I totally agree. So, okay, so going off of that, when would you say that you think it's appropriate to put up spirit protection? Like, why would you use it?
I honestly, okay, so I do spirit protection literally every month. Like, I always have something set up. Like, it's like I try to cleanse, and when I cleanse, I always say out loud that I want spirits to stay that don't mean me harm, because I work with spirits. I work with spirits, like when I read tarot, and you know, just like my guides, my because I work with guides, my relatives, and you know, spirits of my house and land. So I don't like want those important like spirits to just pick up and leave. So I always say, like, I set my boundaries out loud, like, don't wake me up in the middle of the night screaming at me over my wife. And but
I'm gonna die just so I can come back as a ghost and do that to you.
Rude. But no, for me personally, since I work with them quite a bit, and I'm always open and to like spirit stuff. So like monthly protection stuff is very important to me. So how about for you?
I am in a very similar boat. The only difference is that I do it usually weekly. I am more sensitive to spirits in general. Like Maria, I work with spirits, but simultaneously, like I see ghosts, I see spirits, and so I also do it regularly, but I put up kind of walls, I guess you could say, in my home more frequently, just because I feel like I need them more often. Otherwise, you're going to wake up to a little girl staring at you at 2 a.m, which is not fun. So, I do it more often because of that. And I also simultaneously will do things like charm jewelry that I wear every single day. That way, in case I'm not home, I still kind of have a little extra shield up, if you will.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I definitely I do ramp up my own too. Like if things are happening, I feel like things are starting to pick up, I will do exactly as you said, like weekly stuff, because
sometimes that is just necessary.
Necessary. Speaking of, I do want to say that on our coffee talk that we're going to be releasing, I definitely have some stuff I need to say about that. So, that'll be fun. So I'm just plugging in our stuff, so it's fine. I do want to say though, like I know that some people, like even witches, like they don't see spirits, like they don't feel them. Yeah, that's completely normal. Yeah, and
that's a really personally point to bring up, Maria, actually, because I know that a lot of people will hear like us talk about things or other people talk about things and then go, oh, well, I'm maybe not good enough, or I'm not this, that, and the other. And that is not the case. Like some people just don't see things or whatever, and that's fine.
Yeah, 100%.
It's not a bad thing.
It's not a bad thing. And like in that instance for like spirit protection, like only do it if you have anxiety about it. Like
totally.
If out of sight, out of mind, in my personal opinion. If like they're not annoying you or anything, there's really
I completely agree with you. Quite frankly, there's instances where things are quiet around here for like nice chunks of time, and I don't, if it ain't broken.
Or else you're like, oh well, shit, I haven't done this in a while, I need to need to do some protection work.
Exactly. So definitely don't think you're like missing out or doing something wrong.
You enjoy your night's sleep. Like you enjoy it. You enjoy not being scared randomly. It's fine.
Yes.
um,
Goodness.
what type of things do you use for protection, like herbs and stuff?
I do a lot of things. So I know we've talked about this before in the podcast, but I am a real big believer in iron for protection. Like live and die by it. We use things like railroad spikes around our home to create kind of like fence posts, if you will. And then I'll do things like put like eggshell powder in between them, kind of connecting them together. I'll do things like I mentioned earlier in the podcast, the chamomile window washes, which are also really, really good for like psychic protection as well as spirits.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of the psychic herbs are also really great for like, spirit protection.
Yeah, they're just great. And you can use I'm going to pronounce it wrong, calendula. I think it's called calendula.
It is calendula or something.
Whatever, dude.
I know.
I was in an apothecary here, and I asked for calendula, which again I know is pronounced wrong. And the lady was like, "What is that?" And I was like, "Girlfriend, you know what I'm trying to say." And she's like, "Well, I've never heard it said like that." I'm like, "Well,
oh my god, who hasn't heard it said that way?" That's how it looks.
I feel like you're being rude, and you should shut up.
Look, I just say the English language changes all the time, so it's slang for calendula. So
dialects are regional. So
this one's just
my region. And my region is the most important. So consider that. But anyway, calendula or whatever, calendula is also very good for that. And essentially you just make like a giant tea in like a bucket, and you can strain out the herbs. I typically don't. And then you just get rags in there. You get your rags all nice and soppy wet, drain it, and you wash your window frames and your door frames. I find that to be incredibly effective. I also find that I only have to do this about once a year, once every 6 months. So if you're a spring cleaning person like I am, I say add that to your routine. You can also do things like washing your floors if you've got hardwood with peppermint, or also the same stuff you use for the window frames. Or you can make yourself a floor powder for carpet with baking soda, salt, and like any of the herbs that I've listed. You sprinkle it through your house and then you vacuum it up. And I find these things to be incredibly effective. I also really like mullein. I know we've talked about this so many times. I just did an article on it. But mullein is a plant of the dead. It's a 1-to-1 replacement for grave dirt. You can use it to both draw in and ward off spirits. If you want to draw them in, you would make something like, a hag torch. If you want to push them away, take dried mullein, hang it above your bed, hang it above your door frames. Keep a living mullein plant outside of your front door and your back door of your house, like entrances, I think it's great. And I think utilizing these sort of little things together is a really good way to kind of have more control over the roaming spirits. What about you? Sorry, I know I just listed like 100 things.
I think good information. My favorite like herb to use, actually, like I think almost every witch has it in their stuff, but lavender. Like lavender is also great for psychic protection as well. But when I smoke cleanse, I primarily smoke cleanse with lavender. Just because I find it's really helpful, especially like I do it. I guess we were talking about like what we do like monthly, weekly, but I probably smoke cleanse my house with lavender probably every other day. Especially if I'm reading cards every day, then I'm doing lavender as well. But I usually I do my threshold stuff, which is not only like blocks like negative people like and all that like danger and stuff coming into my house. I put herbs like lavender, nettle, and salt and stuff like that on the threshold stuff to keep spirits out. And I also and when I do like a whole house like smoke cleanse with lavender, I usually also make sure that I get the windows and stuff like that, any like points of entry or anything like that. Or even if like I bring in like certain things into the house, like I have a lot of antiques and older things in my home, so I make sure like at least I know that some people like they won't even allow things into their house till they're cleansed, but I mean, I just do it when it gets
dramatic. It's a little dramatic. Let's be real.
I cleanse them inside my house, and I usually, as I said, do it with lavender. And sometimes I even like add hyssop. Hyssop's a great like cleansing herb for that stuff as well. Gosh, I'm trying to think what else I do. I do like really random stuff, and I do a lot of like banishing stuff because, you know, no matter what, especially around this time of year, things are going to slip past my wards no matter how many single times that I do them. So like for that, I just do a simple banishing candle. I use a black candle and type in a banishing sigil into the candle and maybe put some nettle all over it. And then, you know, say my intentions out loud about banishing the spirit and ask them to leave and light it. And I also do the iron too that you were speaking of. My wife and I are actually in the process of like putting iron the railroad spikes like above the front door, back door, garage door, and any like big points of entry, just to keep spirits at bay. Because I don't know, I feel like last year was very crazy spirit wise here, and I don't want a repeat.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm trying to think what else I do. Goodness. But I don't know.
I mean, I think there's a lot of great things that are happening here. I think that realistically, as long as you have like the baseline, you're personally going to find in your own practice what's going to work for you and what isn't. Yeah, I love them. I will say that, you know, I remember about a year ago, maybe less, when I did the iron protection spell on my Instagram. Do you remember that? With like the red yarn, and people were like, oh, can I just use any nails? It's like, no. The thing is that iron nails are very different from the ones that you get at the store, like at the hardware store. They don't make them anymore. You have to seek out forged nails. You can get them on Etsy. They're usually like anywhere from $1 to $5 a piece. But you are going to have to seek them out because they don't make nails like that anymore. So just consider that.
Yeah. And also, like, if you are also wanting to do like the nails and putting them above your door and stuff like that, instead, if you don't want them just sitting above your door, you could just find some place in your door frame where you don't think like they'll be seen, and you can like hammer it in and like cover it with paint if you don't want to see it. Maybe do it like the 4 points of entry. What do you do personally if like a spirit slips through and they're being very rude, like waking you up and scaring the shit out of you?
Oh gosh. Well, I've gotten to a point where I don't really get that scared anymore. I'll be really honest. There was actually an incident very recently, and by very recently, I mean, this is like a week ago, where my cat was visiting us, the one who passed away. But typically when I see things or hear things or whatever, my husband doesn't. So I kind of keep it to myself, like, because he's very afraid of ghosts. What's the point in saying anything to him? Because he's just gonna get scared. I don't get scared really anymore. I get annoyed.
Well, okay, I'll get like scared for like, you know, like it'll just be like a flash, and then it's like, oh my god, you know.
Yeah,
it goes straight to annoyed and angry.
I don't get scared. I just get annoyed, and I'm like, all right, you know what I mean? Yeah. I'm like, oh, okay. But but like there are some instances where like something will happen and I like have to like, I always, if I can, check with my husband to see if he is hearing the same thing as me.
Do you hear that? And
Yeah.
he's like, no, why? Oh, I just thought I heard a car go by. Nothing, dear.
I thought I heard something outside. So yeah, I personally 9 times out of 10, and this is not going to be helpful to anyone, I just go to sleep. I just go right back to sleep. I'm like, not doing this today.
See, like, I don't want to say the story because I was saving it for coffee talk, so I'll just when I wake up at night, or like, I guess if it happens during the day, I am more likely to easily brush it off. But if it happens at night, I have problems falling back to sleep after I wake. So I'm like, I don't want this to keep happening. So I usually go downstairs, hurry, and do a banishing candle. And but if it like happens during the day, like I do it whenever when I have free time and like cleanse the house. And, you know, I think being very blunt with the spirit and being like stating my boundaries out loud about the space that I need. Although I do that too when I do the banishing candle. Right. But I think
I think you're on a good point here. That's much better advice than I had.
Yeah, I think a lot of I don't think I wrote this in our talking points for this. I might have, but I feel like a lot of people accidentally like feed the spirits and make them bigger than what they are by being like real. Like it's okay to be like briefly scared or even to be scared like for a moment. Right. But I think the more you build it up to be something, the more energy it will take from that to make it a bigger deal than what it is. Sure. So I think like being because you like this ghost is in your home and you have boundaries set up within your home, and they're the ones that broke that boundary and decided just to come on in. So you're allowed to be like, get the hell out of my house. I did not ask for you to be here. Now, if you're like, if you're just like scared and you're just continuing to let this stuff happen and not doing anything about it, they're just going to think they can keep doing it and that there's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. And I think it is important in any form of magical practice to have boundaries, no matter really what you're practicing, or this goes beyond spirit communication, spirit work, spirit protection. I think that it is important in all of our lives, no matter what you're doing, to have some form of boundaries. And so I think that's great advice.
Now, I do think that there's some spirits that we can't really do anything about. Like for 2 instances, I think like land spirits, like if a land spirit's like super pissed that like a house is built where it's built and they're just not going away, sometimes there's nothing that you can do besides move. And on it, like they have every right to be pissed. In my personal opinion, you could try to work with them and get out with them, but sometimes there's nothing that you can do. And then other circumstances, let's say you move into like a super old house, sometimes spirits and like residual energy from like past families and stuff that have been there is so ingrained into the house itself that you just kind of have to live beside them and try to do your best to set boundaries. It's kind of like getting, for better or for worse. Like, you can always leave.
You're so funny.
Thanks.
Well, I think that's all the topics we wanted to cover for this segment, right?
Yeah, I think so. Hopefully I didn't ramble too much.
And hopefully
I love talking about this stuff. It's so much fun.
And hopefully you guys got something out of this. We're going to talk more about ghosts for probably the next month. So that will be exciting.
It's so exciting. We have an amazing guest like
we have
coming.
a couple of amazing guests actually
well,
that are
no, like this is a whole year of amazing guests, but
yeah, but I just mean focusing of course on the ghost topic. So I think we have some really cool, exciting things coming up. Ghosts will be the theme for the next month-ish, and I think it's going to be great. So
good.
Hopefully you guys got something out of this.
With that, so Robin, what is stirring your cauldron this week?
Well, I'm rock hard. Thank you for asking. I'm actually really excited, and I know that the listeners are probably going to be like, "Oh, they're talking about this again." But we've been working really, really, really hard on a bunch of like projects for the Patreon, and we have a bunch of stuff lined up in like the next 6 months that I'm so jazzed about.
It's amazing.
I'm so jazzed about it. I am excited to hopefully announce next month a new element that will be coming to tiers that already exist. So I'm just excited.
This is going to be good.
I think it'll be good. Yeah.
It's so good. And we have like so many amazing guests coming on the podcast. Yes. And we have new episodes that are coming out that like, that we haven't done before. Like Robin and I were thinking about doing like where we basically review like witchy pop culture stuff. Like, like if I'm reading like a witchy book, I will tell you guys, be like, yes, read it.
I just think it's exciting. Like, and I think it's fun. And I think we have all these really amazing ideas that aren't just ideas. They like can actually happen, if that makes sense. And we've already got the wheels moving for it. And so I'm just really excited because we've been really brainstorming super hard on this stuff. And I think that it's coming together really nicely. And I don't know, I'm really jazzed about it.
Me too.
So, Maria, what's not stirring your cauldron this week?
Now, let me tell you. I think it's so rude that the universe, my guides, always tell me that something that I need to know that I already know and that I need to fix. I know that like I love them and I hold a dear place for the universe and my guides and all that in my heart.
You hear that, like, guides? She thinks she fucking sucks. This is crazy.
No, it's so rude. Like, I know I'm stressed. Like, I do not need dreams where my teeth are falling out, okay? I mean, guys.
Oh my God.
I know. And I don't need like the 9 of swords to just fall out of the deck every time I shuffle. Like, I get it. I get it. And I appreciate you letting me know where I'm at. I am highly aware of where I'm at. No, but I please don't be worried about me. I'm fine. Like, I really am. I've just been like really busy and all that, but it's just, I get what the universe is trying to do, like tell me to slow down and stuff like that. And I'm trying. I am trying. I'm doing my best. So if you could quit to stop pointing it out, that would be great. Okay, thanks.
If you've just joined us this week, every week we talk about creators that we are loving right now. These are any kind of artistic inspiration for us. And these are not ads. These are just people that we have found organically and thought were cool and that you might like as well. So that being said, Maria, who are you digging this week?
So I've been digging this artist for quite a long time. It's Medusa Doll Maker, and she just makes the most beautiful like drawings and stuff ever. Like, they're so stunning and so pretty, and I'm just saying that I really think that she needs to release like a tarot deck. I mean,
that'd be sick.
Right? And I want to convince her to do it. And I hope that she'll listen to this podcast and be like, oh, that's such a great idea, Maria.
What a good idea, Maria. I'm definitely going to do that.
And would you like to do my guidebook? Well, yes, I would. Yes, I would.
Thank you so much for asking.
No, but for real, like she's such an amazing artist, and I really like her. Like she has a Persephone art, done Persephone art and Hecate art, and it's just so beautifully done. It's so gorgeous, and 10 out of 10. So you've been loving.
So I am digging a creator called Spooky Cutes.
So cute.
So cute. They do like little ornaments and dolls. And like if you know anything about me, you would know that I love dolls and tiny cute things. And specifically everything that she does, or at least that I'm like seeing that she does, is very like of the same sort of vibe, I guess you could say, of Over the Garden Wall, which is I'm a huge fan of. I'm a huge Over the Garden Wall fan, and so I am just so vibing with this. I would really like to get some of their stuff, but I have a feeling that I'm going to miss the shop update because I always miss these freaking things. And I've even listened. There was a tarot deck that I really wanted, like so bad, and I set an alarm for it to get it, and my alarm didn't go off, and I missed it, and I cried actual tears about it. And now they're back in stock, but your girl is a Baroque bitch and cannot afford it at this time, and so I'm like just really sad about it. So whatever, I'll cry about it forever.
Well, you're going to have to like send me that deck so I can keep an eye out for it for you. So maybe you'll get it as a gift.
Between one of us, we'll maybe get it.
But if I got it for you, I would foot the bill just to give.
You're an angel, and I love you so much.
Your face.
You're an angel, and I love you so much.
Oh, I love you.
Oh my gosh, are we gonna kiss?
Yeah.
Well, firstly, thank you all so much for joining us today. We hope that we will see you again next week on Friday, August 26th for our Ghost Coffee Talk episode, or we'll see you on September 2nd for the 16th main episode of season 3. You can keep an eye out on our Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook, or you can find all of these things at coffeeandcauldrons.com for more information.
Or even better, you can join us on Magical Beginnings Patreon. Our Patreon offers our special 25-minute part 2 episode, a huge library of articles about witchcraft, a Discord community full of fun events and discussions, and we even have a tier that offers one-on-one conversations with Robin and myself.
And please, if you are loving our sexy, sensual, just so hot voices, review us on whatever streaming service that you use, such as Apple Podcasts or Spotify. We love reading your reviews. And if you rate us with 5 stars, it helps us to be seen by other people who might appreciate this podcast as well. And thank you to everybody who already has rated the podcast or is planning to. We appreciate you very much.
So again, this is Coffee and Cauldrons
with Robin from At a Tired Witch on Instagram.
And I'm Maria from at Maria Hurricane on Instagram.
She doesn't even know her own name. All right,
no,
you ready?
At this point, no. No, I don't. Okay. Yeah, I'm ready.
1,
2, 3. Bye, witches!